Part of the skills of a teacher, part of the skills of TAs and cover supervisors here in the UK is what mostly you see that English, they should have a skills on how to help students that English is their second language, that English is not their primary language, or maybe in countries that English is not the main means of communications in that country. And that is why I've been to different schools that working as a cover supervisor, and I see that, or even a TA, and I help come across students that cannot speak English, or maybe they are not really good in English. Some they speak more of Arabic because their countries they are from Arabic speaking countries, or some you see that okay they are from Pakistan, and even though they speak English in those countries, but they are not really grounded in English, or maybe they don't really understand, or they understand but they cannot speak. And some might be Chinese or any background, but that is not where I'm going. So you see, what they usually do is that for those that English is their second language, they don't really understand English. What they do is that they have TAs that will help them. Some that are good, some of the TAs that are good in Arabic, you understand, they will be in that class helping that students to translate what is being taught. But one amazing thing is that I went to a school, and what was happening is that those students are in year 11, and they are teaching English during this inspector calls. Yes, inspector calls. And when I looked at the board, it has been programmed that what was displaying on the whiteboard, there was Arabic translation under the whiteboard. It was displaying along as the videos was going on, or maybe any activities. The Arabic version of it, like the translation in Arabic, is down. So for them to look at it. So what the teacher told them to do was they told them, okay, you need to screenshot it. They should snap it, and also they should translate it. They should translate it and do the work. Why do all this long story is to come back to our Nigerian teachers. I could remember while I was in school, while I was in secondary school, there was a guy that was a new student that came in, and that guy he does not understand English. I think he came from the village and he does not understand English. He's just pidgin English. He don't really understand English, and he cannot write, he cannot do anything. But what did they do was that this boy later dropped out of the school. He dropped out of the fun of the secondary school, and I don't know what happened. This is part of the factors. And going by this, seeing all these things that happened, that I've witnessed here in the UK, and I was really impressed. English language should not be a tool to measure students' intelligence. English language should not be a tool to stop kids from going to school, or maybe from progressing, because there are many students that are very intelligent, but maybe because they did not have that privilege, or coming from, maybe let's say, from the village, or maybe a place that there's no settled education, or maybe a properly organized schools there, or maybe they cannot afford. Let's just assume that okay, there's no school in that community, and they came from the rural area to the urban area to attend school. Going to schools and they cannot speak English. You see, even the teachers are not willing to translate. Even the teachers are not willing to translate. You hardly see teachers, because I've witnessed some, they hardly translate to that student, in the language. And this is what we should work on. The schools should work on it. If a child is coming from from the Igbo state, and they cannot speak English, or they don't understand, or maybe the child is from a rural part of Kano State or any northern state, or even Yoruba, and very good in Yoruba, or very good in Idoma, or very good in any language spoken in Nigeria or any African countries where you're watching me from, that student understand that native language. Please, the teachers, the school should help. If it's for you to get an interpreter, because it's even hard for you to go to a school that you can't see a student or even a teacher that speaks that language. You understand? Imagine that child understand Igbo, or that child, the native language is Yoruba or Hausa, and that child does not understand English. There's nothing bad. Please, you can do like extra lesson, or maybe during the break, have time with that student and translate to Hausa language for that student to understand, or maybe to Igbo language. Explain to that child, this is what they mean. This is biology. Okay, we are teaching about, okay, let's say maybe osmosis, or maybe you are talking about reproduction, or maybe even the state, this is it. Or how they born. Even if it's pidgin English, explain to that child and give that child the tags to go back. Here, even though once, if okay, let's say you are from maybe another country and you don't speak English, they will, and you are maybe like, let's say you are 14 years old, they won't take you to primary school. They will not take you to primary school. Rather, you'll be in the class that all the age, that their age group are there. If it's in primary school too, they will put you there. You have never been to school and you come into the UK, and you are in the UK here, and that child have never been in school. You understand? And that child, maybe let's say that child is 6 years old. That child will not be in nursery, or they will not put that child in nursery. They will put that child in 6 years old, the age group that for 6 years old. So the 6 years old are not above. That's like year one or year two. That child will be there. So I've been to schools that you see that those children, even they cannot speak. I've been to a nursery, a primary school that the child was not even, is just speaking Arabic. And that child is in this class with other students that are of the same age group. So they use more of their age and their mental capacity to classify the students. Okay, this is where they are supposed to be. Please and please, our fellow teachers in Africa, anywhere, that that this thing is also part of what is disturbing the educational system in your country. We can work towards it, please. If you're from Uganda or anywhere in South Africa, and that student is coming from places that student understand the native language more and not English language, please do have a time to translate. If you cannot do that, the school should try and get someone to translate. Or even though it's a student or even a senior student in that class, or that student in that class that understand that language, please, they should sit together and let that child explain to that student. You understand? Please do the class, simplify it to the understanding of that student. English language is not a tool to determine the intelligence of a student. No, it does not determine our mental capacity or our brain. It's not. It's just a language. And once we have, okay, because we have been colonized by a country that speak English, so because that student does not understand English, or does not know, or maybe understand but cannot speak, that does not deter that child from being in school. That is part of inclusion. Okay, let's include all these things into the school system. We should have like an interpreter. Any student that you see that, okay, from the interview process, you want to take that child, and that child does not understand, that child is 15 years old, and that child does not understand, that child understand Hausa, please, maybe during the break, the class teacher should please explain to that child. And that's why you see that they end up being discouraged. They end up being discouraged, and most of them do not finish up with the school, except those that have that strong ability to sit down on their own and also work on their weaknesses. But when you see this is not even seen as a even weakness. Like, okay, let's see it as a weakness or challenges, then you should do that. And that is why English as a second language is part of the skills. They want you to be multilingual. There are many governmental institutions that they appreciate those who can speak other languages because of these situations. That is why, like in schools that are Chinese dominated in the UK, or Pakistanis are the major student there, you understand, you see that they have, most of their TAs are Chinese, most of their TAs are from Pakistan, most of their TAs or even the teachers, they consider those who are from India because of the students, majority of the students there. And you see that they explain to those students in that language. The TA will be there whispering to them. I've had an encounter with a student that does not really understand English. Their primary language was Urdu, and is in year 11. And what I had to do was to look for videos explained in Urdu for that child to understand. And the GCSE came out nice, and that student is in college already. So what do you think about this video? Please, let's work towards it, and let's don't discourage or shame our student. Oh, he does not understand English, or because he does not understand English, that child is Olodo. No, please, this is time for us to work on that. What do you think about this video? See you on my next video. Bye.